Can you hear me now?
Welcome everybody to our breakout session. It is pertaining to health and social care and sports studies as well. And I've got with me the lovely Mrs. Imakai and Miss Pritchard as well. And over the course of the next 20 to 25 minutes, we'll be going over, what the sports studies course entails, and also what the health and social care study course entails. As well, if you've got any questions, you'll see that there's a Slido link, Slido number there, essentially, which is hashtag 052811. If you've got any questions, please feel free to use that as well. And at the end of, towards the end of the 20-25 minutes, we will answer as many of your questions back to you. So essentially, without any further ado, I'll pass over to Mrs. Imakai, who will tell you more about the Cambridge Technical CTEC Sport and Physical Activity course.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kay. The Cambridge Technical Extended Certificate in Sport course is a 2-year course that we deliver here at Bexley Academy. And for that course, it will help you to develop your coaching skills and your leadership skills. So develop teamwork, you'll be able to plan sessions, you'll be able to deliver those sessions to a variety of individuals and be able to adapt those sessions to help them improve in terms of their physical fitness or their skills and techniques that they're demonstrating in your sessions, whether it's football or handball or even cricket if you're a cricketer. So studying a sport course, you'll be able to then develop these skills that you can then go on to then demonstrate and put in your employment or your further study. For example, if you're going on to university, or if you're going on to an apprenticeship, or you're going on to any other employment or career that you're thinking of, such as coaching or teaching or physiotherapy, they will be looking for essential skills and qualities such as teamwork and organisation, adaptability and leadership skills, so you're able to then manage a team well and deliver training to other individuals within your area of expertise. By applying these skills within sport, in our sport lessons in terms of coaching and within our classroom sessions, you are then preparing yourself for further study and you're preparing yourself for excelling in the workplace when you leave school later on. Now, on our course, we have 5 units of study for CTEC Sport. And now, three of these units will be internally assessed units. And these units will involve Unit 19, Unit 20, and Unit 2, which are internally assessed units. And as a result of studying these units, you'll be developing your organisation skills, your research skills, your independent skills as well in terms of researching and completing assignments independently and on your own. And we also have 2 units which are externally assessed. And these externally assessed units will be our examined units, which you'll be able to see on the next slide, which will then show you the list of our units and what we'll be studying in the first 2 years that you're here in the academy with us. Now, we do have also our entry requirements, which are, we have level 2 sport, distinction, star to merit, and we also have 4+ GCSE in GCSEPP or BTEC or CNAT if you study that at level 2. So it's a 4+ or a distinction, star to merit. We also have complementary subjects that would help you in terms of your study here at Bexley Academy. So we have psychology, we have sociology, we have health and social care and biology, which are subjects that will help you in terms of your study here at Bexley Academy. Now, moving on to the other slides, we'll be looking at post-18 as well in terms of post-18 pathways, going on to university, to study sport and exercise science, to study coaching, to study teaching, sports psychology, sports sociology. So these are all different pathways that are open to you and available to you as a result of studying CTEC Extended Certificate here with us at Bexley Academy. We also have our career pathways that are related to the course, so sports management, personal training, becoming a nutritionist, or going into becoming a centre manager in terms of a sports centre for a local gym, and many, many more as well in terms of the opportunities that will be available to you. If we go on to the next slide, a few slides, we'll have a look at how the course is broken down in terms of the different units and what each unit actually entails in terms of what you'll be studying within the actual units with us at Bexley Academy. So we have our Unit 1, which is our Body Systems unit, and this unit is made up of 3 sections. We have multiple choice, Section A, short answers, Section B, and then a long answer question at the end, Section C, which is a 10-mark question. And that 10-mark question is to try and develop your understanding, demonstrate your understanding in terms of how you analyse the body systems and how they work and interact with one another. So the 10-mark questions are drawing knowledge across all of the content within that unit, Unit 1. Unit 1 is also the exam, and that will be sat in the first year in January. We also have another exam unit, which is the Sports Organisation Development, and this is all to do with how sport is organised in the UK and internationally in terms of all the nationally governed bodies and Department for Culture, Media, Sport, and all the international governing bodies. And we look at how sport is made available to a variety of individuals, regardless of their background, regardless of their gender or disability, and how Sport England and lottery funding can increase participation amongst individuals 14 to 19 and younger children as well as elderly as well. On the next slide, you also have a look at the different, how the Unit 2 will be broken down in terms of what you'll be learning for Unit 2. So we're looking at demonstrating the knowledge on the roles and responsibilities of sport coaches, and then we're looking at also at planning sessions, delivering those sessions to a minimum of 2 people within the class, or in terms of your friendship groups or at club level. That's completely up to you what you decide in terms of where you want to deliver those sessions. We're looking at planning sessions, delivering them to help people improve in terms of their physical fitness or their skills. And we also look at Unit 19 and Unit 20. Unit 19 is our sports psychology unit. We're looking at personality, aggression, arousal, and how our mind can play a part in sport and how it can affect our performance, as well as sports sociology, Unit 20, which delves into the issues in terms of gender, race, socioeconomic deviance issues within society and how media can affect sport and society and the relationship they have with one another. Now, as a result of studying here with us at Bexley Academy, you'll also get the opportunity to take part in the Charlton Academy. Now, they have training sessions twice a week and also play matches on Wednesdays. And we also provide our Charlton football team with their Charlton tie and their kits that they can use in practical lessons that we have when it comes to leadership lessons, for example. And you don't have to study sport to be part of that Charlton Academy. That's not a compulsory thing, you don't have to. But many of our students do study sport and also play for the Charlton Football Academy. That's for boys and girls as well, so both. Now, in terms of the sort of things that you will study in the first year, we'll look at the skeleton, we'll look at the different parts of the skeleton, different structures, the function of the skeleton, we'll look at the muscles, the cardiovascular system, respiratory and energy systems. And it's quite a big exam, that Unit 1, so we spend quite a lot of time on looking and delving deep into the body systems and how they all interact, using keywords and looking at how we deconstruct questions to make sure we maximise our marks within the exam. And we'll also be looking also in the first year at how we deliver sports and how we are able to manage our participants within our class when we're demonstrating within our session, when we're delivering our activities over 6 weeks. So Unit 1 and Unit 2 you'll do in the first year. And then Unit 3, 19 and 20 will be covering more in the second year. So I hope you are all considering and thinking now about taking sport for as a C-Tech option with us at Bexley Academy. But if there are any questions, then please make sure you add them to the Slido, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Okay, thank you very much.
Good evening and welcome to Sixth Form Open Evening for Health and Social Care.
Apologies there, Mr. Zimmerclay. I've lost just a few technical issues on my side in terms of sound, so I hope I didn't miss out on too much there. So sorry, then I'll get that all sorted by the next stream as well. So obviously, for our viewers, apologies there. Okay, from there then, I'd like to move on to Ms. Pritchard now, who will discuss more concerning health and social care, if that's okay. So let me just unmute, let me mute myself.
Okay, good evening and welcome to Health and Social Care. So I'm just going to run through a few slides with you. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so to start with, why study health and social care? So there's lots and lots of opportunities within health and social care. We're going to take a look later at the job roles, responsibilities and what it entails, but it's a really interesting qualification, lots of different units, different elements and aspects to it, and it's a close link with sociology, psychology and sport studies. So anybody that's studying these subjects as well, they will find that a lot of the topics interlink very well. Okay, we're just going to move on to the next slide. Okay, so we currently offer the Cambridge Technical, otherwise known as CTEC. This is designed to work with employers and higher education providers, and it helps to build students' skills, knowledge, and helps them to acquire the behaviour needed to work within the workplace and also to go on to study in higher education as well. The course we offer is for 2 years and has a maximum 6 units per year. There are 5 exam units and 7 coursework units in total, and the exams will be assessed through an external examination process. The non-exam units will be assessed through a number of coursework tasks, and there's always 2 attempts at these. All of the coursework tasks are graded pass, merit and distinction, and I will always encourage my students to aim high and to work to a distinction level. Like I said, there's lots of support, there's a lot of hard work and dedication that goes into it, but with the support, every student has the ability to achieve a distinction. Okay, just moving on to the next slide. Okay, so the course is over 2 years and there is 6 units per year. So in the first year, I'll just run through some of the units. So the first unit is Unit 1, which is looking at building positive relationships within all health and social care environments. So it's looking at the skills that are needed, the importance of body language, how to communicate. Okay, sorry, so we've just got a few technical issues, so apologies. Right, Unit 2 looks at equality, diversity and human rights. This is a really interesting topic. We look at human rights, we look at the laws behind it, legislation, we look at good working practice, poor working practice. This covers different types of abuse and how those situations need to be dealt with. This is an exam unit. It's normally sat twice a year. If a student passes and gets a good grade on their first attempt, they will not need to resit this. But it's always good because every student has the ability to sit every exam 2 times. Unit 3 covers health, safety and security. Again, this is another exam unit. And again, this involves legislation, hygiene. We look at cross-infection and other methods of health and safety. Okay, Unit 5, we look at infection control. So we look at what it takes to prevent disease, we look at medical conditions and disorders. This is a coursework unit, so there is lots and lots to do. And Unit 12 looks at promoting positive behaviour. So we look at, within health and social care, we look at the people that we will have to build relationships with and strategies we will need to put into place to control behaviours such as mental health and so on. Unit 13, we look at sexual health, reproduction and early development stages. So we look at from infancy right through to adolescence. We look at the changes that adults go through. Year 2, we have another 6 units where we look at anatomy and physiology. This is a breakdown of all the different body systems. So we look at the function and the effects, and we look at physiological diseases and disorders and how they can be treated. Unit 6 involves looking at person-centred care. So it looks at the different multidisciplinary members that will look at treating a person and offering them the best level of care. Unit 7, we look at safeguarding practices. Again, we look at legislation, we look at safeguarding procedures and strategies that are needed in different health and social care environments. Unit 14, again, this is another big unit where we look at different physiological conditions. This closely links with our anatomy and physiology unit. Unit 23 looks at the sociological aspects of health and social care. So as I said previously, there's close links with sociology and psychology if you were to choose to study health and social care. And Unit 9, we look at how we can support people with learning disabilities and difficulties. So as you can see, there's a nice range of units. It does take a lot of commitment and hard work, but it's worth it in the end. The complementary units that go with this, again, is psychology, sport and physical health, sociology and biology. Okay, so just moving on to the next slide. Okay, so past 18 pathways. So those that are studying health and social care can progress onto university, or they can choose an apprenticeship of their choice. Others do choose to go straight into caring professions. Career pathways related to health and social care would be, like I said, there's so many opportunities. So many of our students have gone on to become doctors, nurses, midwives. So they can also choose to go in to become a counsellor, health promotion specialist, occupational therapists, social workers, dentists, physicians, orthodontists. I mean, it's absolutely huge the opportunities they have. So it's a very good, stable qualification that will open up lots of employment opportunities. Okay, on the screen now, it's just an example of some of the activities that we would cover in lessons. So we do look at child development, we do look at every life stage, and we do look at physical conditions and mental health. So this is an activity where students would look at a case study and they would respond and answer questions using their own underpinning knowledge and experience and knowledge gained in lessons. Okay, the next slide, again, is another type of activity, and the students will look at the different medical conditions such as obesity, diabetes, asthma and drug misuse. They will look at these different factors, and then they have to match the different symptoms that would go with each one. So it's a matching activity, which is very good to reinforce learning. Okay, so what will you study? So again, we're just looking at the different, so this is an example of how we would reinforce learning. Okay, so apologies, the slides are changing. Okay, so what will you need to be successful? So the most important things will be to show commitment, be punctual to every lesson, meet all of your work deadlines that are set, complete classwork and coursework on time, also show an ability to do independent research. So it's very important to be able to use your initiative and also work with your peers and in groups, analyse information. Also this will help to form your opinions, making judgments, and also we want you to stretch and challenge yourself as much as possible. Okay, so thank you very much for your time, and hopefully you'll decide to sign up and do a health and social care course. Thank you.
Outdated technology, just like an outdated person right in front of you here. just a massive, thank you for all of you for, taking the time to obviously listen to, to what we had to say. If you did only get part of that session, feel free. We're about to start in about 3 or 4 minutes in our next session as well. But saying that, I've got a few questions here from the Slido there, Mrs. Azimikai. First question, if you don't mind, how many lessons are there per week?
We have four lessons a week for year 12 and for year 13. So sometimes we'll have one unit for 2 lessons, another unit, another 2 lessons, depending on how we structure the lessons. Especially leading up to the exam, we might have more unit 1 lessons, but we have 4 across the week.
Thank you very much. And I've got a couple of more questions for you there. Do they have to study sports or take GCSE PE or anything along those lines to undertake your course?
There is no obligation to take CNAT, BTEC or GCSE PE if you want to study sport. I do have students who haven't done that in year 11 and still progress on to achieve quite well in sport. So I would definitely encourage a good biology background. Biology is really important, anatomy and physiology. So if you're very good at biology, if you don't study sport, it's not an issue. You can still do really well.
Okay. Fantastic. And last question there, Miss. Do you have to undertake sports, sports and physical activities, sports courses, actually, to be part of the Charlton Academy, Miss?
No, you don't at all. We have a number of students that play for Charlton who are part of the sport course and who are not, so that's not an obligation, no, you don't have to.
Thank you very much there, Mrs. Zimikai. Okay, and I've got one question for you here as well, Miss Pritchard. Do you need to undertake any sort of, BTEC health or GCSE health, be involved in the A-level or the CTEC equivalent, CNAT equivalent?
No, not at all. We have some students that have currently studied in year 10 and 11, but some students this year and last year have joined health in year 12 and gone on to study in year 13 as well. So no, you do not need to have studied it prior to year 12.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, this concludes our first, part of our first breakout session. We'll be back with you again in the next 2 and a bit minutes. So till then, have a lovely evening. Make sure you guys see, the other breakout sessions in sessions that you might want to see or subjects that you're interested in. Okay, all the best. Here we go. Okay. Welcome to our second breakout session. Apologies for being a bit late. I'm obviously having a few issues with my camera, so I'll get that quickly sorted out. In today's session, we've got Mrs. Imakai speaking about the sports course, essentially for the sixth form, and we've also got Miss Pritchard to talk about health and social care as well. So obviously, without any further ado, and obviously a bit of an apologies there, we'll move swiftly on, as they say.
Thank you, Mr. Kay. All right, good evening, everyone. To study sport in terms of CTEC at level 3 for the extended certificate, we were looking at trying to develop your skills in terms of your communication skills, leadership, organisation skills, as well as planning. And these are vital, lifelong skills that will help you to become successful if you go on to further study, or when you go on to further study, or in some sort of employment. Now, by studying sport, you'll be able to develop your understanding in how to help improve participants' fitness, also how to improve their skill level and techniques, because we'll be delivering sessions to certain individuals, minimum number 2 individuals, in terms of trying to develop their fitness or develop their skills in a specific sport, whether they're beginners or advanced players. You'll have to learn to adapt your sessions to be able to achieve the higher marks, achieve distinctions, and change your sessions to help improve overall, help your performance improve over the course of the 6 sessions that I'll be doing with you. Now, by taking part in sport and by delivering these sessions, you'll be demonstrating the skills that you'll need to go on for further employment. You'll also be demonstrating the skills that you'll need to be successful in sport, in terms of being a performer and also in terms of studying sport and being organised and professional and punctual and being independent in terms of your research and your assignments. Now, moving on to the next slide, we will delve a bit deeper into the course and we'll look at what the units actually entail. So in terms of the technical extended certificate, we'll be looking at 5 units across the 2 years of study. In the first year, you'll be looking at Unit 1 and Unit 2. Unit 1 is your external unit. So it's externally assessed, which means it's an exam unit. So it's an hour and a half exam that will sit January the first year of study. And we'll also be looking at Unit 2, which is a sports leadership unit, and you'll be looking at delivering sessions to individuals and leading individuals in terms of a specific sport or in terms of fitness, if that's what you choose to do, if you want to go on to become a personal trainer. You'll also be looking at Unit 3, 19 and 20, and they will come in the second year of your study. They're the smaller units that we have. And Unit 3 is actually also an exam unit, and that's an hour-long exam that we'll study in the second year. Now, in terms of the entry requirements, we do say that a minimum merit, if you're studying BTEC or CNAT at year 11, or if you're studying GCSE PE, then we're looking at a 4+ grade for that. I'd also encourage 4+ in biology, as anatomy and physiology is really important for the first unit. It's quite a big unit, and it's worth a lot of points in terms of your overall points for the units that you cover. So biology will help you a lot as well. Now, we do have a number of students who study psychology, sociology, biology, health and social care, and these are all complementary studies that will help in terms of your understanding in sport. We'll now move on to look at the different pathways, post-18 pathways and your career pathways. So by studying CTEC, sport and physical activity, you'll be able to go on to university and to start looking at studying sport and exercise science, which is what I did at university, sports coaching, teaching, sports management, physiotherapy, and you do a biomechanics or nutritionist to be able to go on to study those sport-specific courses at university. In terms of career, like I mentioned earlier, if you want to become a fitness trainer or a personal trainer, then this is a course for you in terms of delivering sessions and learning about the body and learning about how sport is organised in the UK. And you can also go on to become sports coaches, teachers, management in terms of leisure centres and nutritionists, and many, many more in terms of sports within the sports sector. Now, we'll also look briefly at in terms of what each unit entails. Like I mentioned, Unit 1 is the exam, and that's to do with anatomy and physiology. So we'll be looking at the body systems. We'll look at the heart, the muscles, the lungs, the energy systems, the skeletal system, and how they all work together to allow for movement to take place, and how by exercising we can develop our body and develop those systems to be successful and elite in sport. We'll also look at the negative effects of sport and exercise and how overtraining and too much exercise can actually be detrimental to your body and to those systems. Now, in terms of that exam, Unit 1, we have 3 sections, Section A, B and C, multiple choice, short answer questions, and also a 10 marker at the end, which draws all your knowledge across the content, and it helps you demonstrate your understanding of the links between different body systems. We also have our Unit 3 exam in our second year. So those of you that want to go on to become SSCOs or sports coordinators for a national government body, or if you want to work part of the Department for Culture, Media and Sports, then this unit is for you, because it looks at how sport is organised within the UK, in terms of national government bodies, in terms of sport funding, national lottery and UK sport. And it also looks at trying to increase opportunities for those individuals that don't have those opportunities. So trying to get more girls into sport, for example, trying to provide more sports for those individuals that have disabilities, so they have better access to sport and they can then increase participation. It also looks at increasing participation for children, 14 to 19-year-olds, and also the elderly, and trying to help improve their health and well-being. And then with our other units, I mentioned about Unit 2, which is our leadership unit, and you're delivering and leading sessions to help people improve the sport or in terms of their fitness. We look at sports psychology, so we're looking at the mind, and we're looking at arousal and aggression and how that can impact your performance in sport. And we're also looking at sports sociology, which looks at different sociological issues, looks at different theories, for example, Marx's theory, functionalism theory, and conflict theory. And we're looking at the gender, race, socioeconomic, deviance issues within the sport, and how media can have a positive and a negative impact on sport and society. Now, also moving on, what we have in the Academy, we have links with our Charlton football club, and we have some students that study sport who play for Charlton, and they train twice a week, and they have their matches on Wednesday. Now, the lessons for this course will be delivered by BA staff, however, the training sessions, the football sessions, are all delivered by the Charlton coaches. And this is for girls and boys, so that's not an issue at all. If you want to do sport and study sport, you can, and do play Charlton. If you don't want to study sport, you can still take part in Charlton. That's not an issue. You don't have to study sport. But as a result of taking part in Charlton Academy, you will receive a tie and you'll receive a Charlton kit that you can wear for our practical CTEC lessons and match days as well. Now, just to give you a few examples in terms of what we'll be studying, on the next couple of slides you'll see what we study in terms of the work. So we look at skeletal system, we look at the muscular system, and we look at the different types of bones and how the skeleton is linked and how it interacts with our muscles in order to bring about some sort of movement, and how our different body systems all work together to help us to be successful in sport. So which is why I said biology knowledge is really important. That strong knowledge of anatomy and physiology will help you to go on to succeed and be successful in sport. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the Slido, and then I'll be happy to answer those questions for you. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much there, Mrs. Zimiko. Very, very informative, that's for sure. And now I'll pass over to Miss Pritchard, who will tell us a bit more about the health and social care aspect, of this part of the session.
Okay, good evening and welcome to Health and Social Care. I'm just going to run through a few slides with you. So why study health and social care? The reason why a lot of students pick this subject is because there is a wide range of job opportunities. So working with children, working with the elderly, working with people with disabilities. Like I say, there's so many job opportunities such as nursing, midwifery, psychology. The list is absolutely endless, but I will go through that on a later slide. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so we currently offer the Cambridge Technical Qualification at BA. The CTEC qualification is designed to work with employers and higher education providers, and it offers opportunities for every student to develop their skills, their knowledge, and learn how to behave in different health and social care environments. The course lasts for 2 years, and there are 6 units per year to complete. Now, there are mainly coursework units, but there are some exam units, and the exams are assessed through external examination. So they are sat externally and marked externally. The non-exam units will be assessed through a number of coursework tasks, and every student has 2 attempts to achieve the best grades possible. The work is graded pass, merit or distinction, and naturally I will push every student and support them to achieve a distinction in everything that they do. Okay, so what does the course entail? So the course, again, it runs over 2 years. In the first year, the units that we cover will be things like building positive relationships. So that's our unit 1. So we look at the importance of relationships within different environments. So that is relationships between patients and their therapists. It could be relationships that you have with your colleagues. So we're looking at all different types really, and how we can build them and how we can promote positivity. We also look at Unit 2, which is equality, diversity and human rights. So we look at legislation, we look at the importance of understanding different cultures, we look at the ethical sides, we look at different theories. So there's a lot, that unit entails lots of work, but it's very, very interesting, and that is an exam unit. Unit 3, we look at health, safety and security. So again, we look at the legislation, we look at hygiene, we look at cross-infection, we look at good working practice, we look at poor working practice. Again, this is an exam unit that will be sat, and there are 2 attempts at every exam. Infection control, again, closely links with health and safety, and this looks at infection in more detail. So it looks at disease and different medical disorders. Our Unit 12 is about promoting positive behaviour. So we look at different theories, different strategies. We look at how to challenge difficult behaviours. There's a close link with mental health and different medical conditions with this unit. Unit 13, another very interesting unit. We look at sexual health. We look at protecting oneself, making good lifestyle choices. We look at reproduction, and we also look at early development stages within childhood. Unit 2, we cover anatomy and physiology. So for anyone studying sports studies, they will have a good knowledge that will help if they're doing this unit with myself. So again, anatomy and physiology, we look at different body systems. Again, we look at physiological conditions that affect different body systems and the impact it has on different people's lives and the treatment that they would need. And we look at diagnosis as well. Unit 6 involves looking at person-centred care, looking at how each individual that needs to be cared for must be cared for in their own special way. So we look at multidisciplinary, we look at the different professionals that make up a multidisciplinary team and how everyone can work together to offer high level of care to patients. Unit 7 involves safeguarding. Again, we look at procedures, we look at good practice, we look at why different individuals would require safeguarding. Unit 14, again, this looks at different physiological conditions. So again, this closely links with our anatomy and physiology units. Again, we're looking at the conditions, the treatment, the diagnosis. Unit 23 is looking at the sociological aspects of health and social care. So as I mentioned prior to this, there is a close link with sociology and psychology and sports studies with all of the units that we do within health and social care. And last of all, Unit 9, we look at individuals that have learning difficulties and disabilities, and we look at ways to support them to give them the best quality of life possible. Okay, just moving on. Okay, so past 18 pathways. So those students that are studying health and social care at BA can go on to progress and study at university, or if they wish to, they can choose an apprenticeship. Some of our students have gone on to further education, higher education. Some have gone straight into different caring professions. We have had students go on to become nurses, doctors, midwives and counsellors, physiotherapists, and so on. Other career paths would be, like I say, working as an occupational therapist. It could be going into social work, dentistry, orthodontist work, working as a firefighter, a police officer, a teacher, a speech language therapist. There are so many opportunities. So this is a really good, stable qualification to study for the future. Okay, here's an example of some of the activities we cover in lesson. So this is an example of a basic case study where a student would have to read the information that's provided, and then they would have to respond using their own underpinning knowledge or knowledge that they've gained in lesson. So it's a good opportunity to brainstorm, to talk to their peers and to come up with ideas. Okay, this slide is again another sample of an activity that could be done in class. The students are provided with 4 different factors or medical conditions such as obesity, diabetes, asthma and drug misuse. The students then have to match the different factors that go with each medical condition. So it's a matching activity. And this slide it clearly shows what symptom goes with what different medical condition. So again, it just reinforces learning and the main aspects that they need to learn. Okay, what will you need to be successful? So in order to do well and achieve a distinction, or as high a level as possible, you need to show commitment, be punctual to every lesson, meet all of your work deadlines that are set, complete classwork and coursework on time, show an ability to be independent, so use your initiative, work as part of a team when necessary, analyse information, be able to form your own opinions, make judgments, and most of all, stretch and challenge yourself at all times. Okay, thank you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask and I will respond as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much there, Miss Pritchard. I've actually only got one question from the Slido, and that was like the same one from before for you there, Mrs. Zimmer, which is, do you have to undertake, your course essentially to be part of the Charlton Football Academy?
No, not at all. You don't have to. We have students who do sport with me, and they do football at Charlton Academy. We have students that don't, so it's completely up to you. No, it's not compulsory.
And on that note, an absolutely massive thank you to the both of you. And I suppose now it's for the student panel. For those of you that are still here, if you wouldn't mind making your way to that, and then we'll have our third breakout section in about 12 minutes time. Okay, thank you very much. Bye. Welcome to our, to the breakout session number 3, arguably the best breakout session of any of the breakout sessions. And with me this evening, I've got Mrs. Azimikai, who does the CTEC in sports and physical activity, and I've also got Ms. Pritchard with me, who does the CTEC in health and social care. So without any further ado, I'll pass over to Mrs. Azimikai, who will discuss the CTEC with you forthwith.
Thank you, Mr. Kay. Good evening, everyone. I'll talk to you about the sport and physical activity CTEC that we deliver here at Bexley Academy. It's an extended certificate for the CTEC that we're delivering. And in terms of studying sport, you'll be developing your opportunities to deliver sport to a number of individuals within the class, or if you play for a club, you can deliver your sessions at a sports club in order to help you improve your skills and your ability as a leader. In terms of studying sport, you'll be able to develop your key essential values that you can then take on into further study or into your career in terms of organizational skills, teamwork, leadership, management skills, independence, professionalism. So these are all skills that we look at and we're developing in our subject in sport as leaders for one of our units, so you can then take on to progress and use in wider life to be successful later on in life. Now, we'll look a bit more now at what the course actually involves in terms of the next slide. So we'll be looking at the 5 units that we actually study in CTEC Sport, 2 of which are externally assessed, so they're exam units. Unit 1 is a unit on the body systems and how exercise actually affects the body systems, both positive and negative effects, because overtraining and too much exercise can have a negative effect on our body. And it's a 90-minute exam, an hour and a half, which you'll sit in January of the first year. We also look at Unit 3, which is another exam that you won't take until year 2, and that looks at how sport is organised within the UK and internationally, and how sport is developed. We also look at Unit 2, which is our sports leadership unit, and I'll talk a bit more about that as well in a minute. And we also deliver Unit 19 and 20 for sports psychology and sports sociology. Now, these 3 units are our internally assessed unit. So students will be producing assignments to show evidence for certain criteria to help them achieve their distinction grades. Now, in terms of the entry requirements, we do expect distinctions are to merit if you're studying it at level 2 in terms of doing a BTEC or a CNAT. And we also are looking for a 4+ if you're looking at GCSE PE. I would also advise you to achieve a 4+ in biology, because there is a lot of anatomy and physiology for the exam, and that can be quite complex and complicated. So if you have quite a good biology background and knowledge, that will help you immensely moving forward studying sport. In terms of complementary subjects, we also have other subjects that interrelate quite well with sport in terms of the units that we're studying and the content that we're delivering. So, for example, health and social care, biology, sociology, psychology, these are all subjects that will help you in sport and help in terms of your understanding and learning and demonstrating your understanding of the content. Now, what I'll do now is look now more about the actual units and we'll look at the pathways first, and then we'll look at the units and look at what they involve. So in terms of the pathways, in terms of post-18 pathways, looking at studying sport exercise science at university, which is what I studied at university. You can also go to teaching, coaching, some sort of sports management degree. You can also look at physiotherapy and biomechanics. These are all different pathways that are open up to you should you wish to then go on for post-18 study. In terms of careers in sport, if you're looking at becoming a personal trainer, for example, or a sports coach, or a teacher, or if you're looking at going off to then manage your own gym or own sports centre, this course will help set you up for those things later in life, because it helps develop those skills and the knowledge and understanding you need to be successful in those fields. Now, I'll have a look now a bit more about the actual units and what they entail. So like I said earlier, Unit 1 is an exam unit, body systems and how physical activity affects the body systems. It's made up of 3 different sections. You have section A, which is the multiple choice section. Section B are your short answer sections, which are worth about 3 to 6 marks per question. And then your section C is your 10 marker. Now, a 10 marker question is looking at trying to demonstrate your knowledge in terms of how different systems are interrelated and your ability to be able to analyze body systems and how they affect exercise and how exercise can affect those body systems. In terms of Unit 3, which is our other exam unit, it's only an hour this exam, we're looking at how sport is organised within the UK. So you'll be looking at the Department of Culture, Media and Sport, you'll be looking at National Lottery, UK Sport, different national governing bodies, and how they all work together to help increase participation. We'll look at the elite programs and how within our country we develop our individuals from a young age to try and help them to progress and become elite on the world stage. But you also look at across internationally in terms of the IOC and FIFA, and we're looking at how sport was organised internationally and within the UK. So in terms of if you're interested in going on to work for the local government in terms of becoming a sports coordinator or some sort of SSCO within local government, then this is a unit that would really set you up for that later on in life. We also look at our sports coaching unit, which is where you deliver your different sessions to individuals. So you'll plan 6 sessions and you'll deliver those sessions. And within that, you'll have to be able to adapt your session plan to help those students, those individuals that are struggling a little bit more, making it easier for them to help them achieve. And also adapt your session to challenge the ones that are finding it quite easy. You need to push them, help them progress. That is how you'll then achieve your distinction grade for this unit, because you're showing your understanding in terms of session planning and making sure that every individual has a session planned for their needs. In terms of Unit 19, we look at sport and exercise psychology. So you're looking at aggression in sport, arousal. We're looking at different personality types and different leadership styles and how all of this can affect performance in sport for elite athletes. And also for general participants, those that just take part in sport on a regular basis for exercise reasons. And then we'll also look at our Unit 20, which is sports sociology. And this is looking at different sociological issues. So we're looking at gender issues, race, deviance, socioeconomic issues, and how media can play a big part in terms of impacting sport society, both negatively and positively. And we'll also look at the different theories, different sociological theories. So those of you that enjoy sociology and looking to do that as part of your A-levels, then we will be looking at functionalists, we'll be looking at Marxist and conflict theory, and we'll have lots of different sociological examples to help support your understanding within this subject, this topic area. Now, moving on, we also have our Charlton Academy. So those of you that are interested in football, boys and girls can participate in this. It's not an issue at all. And we do have students who study sport and play for Charlton, and we also have students who don't study sport and play for Charlton, so it's not a necessity. But in terms of training with Charlton, you'll be training twice a week and you'll have matches on Wednesday. Our CTEC lessons are delivered by BA staff, but your training with Charlton will be delivered specifically by your Charlton coaches. You'll receive your tie, your Charlton tie that you can wear proudly around the academy, and you'll also receive your Charlton kit that you can train in and you can play, you can wear in our practical lessons when we deliver practical sessions as well. Now, just to have a look at the things that we actually learn about within the subject, we're looking at the different parts of the skeleton. So you have to be aware of all the technical terms of the different bones that make up the skeleton. You have to be aware of all the technical terms that make up a synovial joint and the different parts of the different joints within our skeleton. We'll also be looking at different types of bones in terms of the 5 types of bones we have and the examples of all those types of bones, as well as looking at muscles and how the muscular system and skeletal system interact with one another to help bring about movement. And then you also look at your respiratory, cardiovascular and energy systems, and we look at how these all interrelate with one another to help produce energy and help us to then participate for a longer period of time or produce excessive power to be able to then be successful in certain sports. So thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions at all, then please add your questions to Slido and I'll be happy to answer them at the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much there, Mrs. Zimmerkai. You even highlighted a few things there in terms of having got that bone slide, to be found in different, types of bones. So, thank you very much for that. And what we've got coming up next is to talk about health and social care. So, over to you, Ms. Pritchard.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Health and Social Care. Just got a few slides that I'd like to go through with you. Okay, just moving on to the first slide. Okay, so why study health and social care? Okay, so why do students choose this subject? They choose it because it's an amazing qualification. There's a huge variety of different units and information to learn. This qualification will enable students to choose a range of job opportunities for the future in different careers, such as nursing, becoming a doctor, midwifery, psychologist, sociologist. There's so many different opportunities, which I will go into in more detail later on. So if it's a great opportunity, if you want to work with children, you want to work with the elderly, you want to sort of specialise with special needs, there's so many things that you can do with this subject. Okay, so we currently offer the Health and Social Care Cambridge Technical qualification. So it's an extended certificate and it's also a diploma. So there is a choice that can be made. This is a 2-year course with 6 units to complete each year. There are 5 exam units in total and 7 coursework units. The exams are assessed through an external examination process, and the non-exam units are the coursework units, and they will be marked internally. There is 2 attempts to everything that a student does, so there's a great opportunity to achieve a very good grade. All of the work is graded pass, merit and distinction, and we aim to push every student to gain a distinction in everything that they do. Right, so this is an overview now. This slide shows a breakdown of the different units that the qualification entails. So the first year, students will learn about building positive relationships and the importance of this. So that's to do with looking after patients, working with colleagues. So it's quite involved, and it looks at strategies, communication techniques, the importance of body language, the importance of non-verbal communication and verbal communication. Unit 2 is an exam unit, and this looks at equality, diversity and human rights. So this involves legislation, looking at different types of law, looking at what diversity means, looking at cultural differences and needs. We look at human rights and the importance of enforcing them within health and social care environments. We also look at Unit 3, which is our health and safety and security unit. So again, more law, legislation. We look at good working practice, poor working practice, hygiene. We look at the importance of sterilisation, sanitisation and so on. Unit 5, again, this closely links with health and safety, and this is about looking at infection control. So the importance of dealing with disease, contamination, and so on. Unit 12 looks again at promoting positive behaviour. So this closely links with our Unit 1, again, building those positive relationships and being able to do your job effectively and having good teamwork and so on. Unit 13 looks at sexual health, reproduction and early development stages. So this looks at different aspects of protecting yourself. We look at sexually transmitted diseases, the importance of sexual health, self-care. We look at, like I say, development stages from infancy right through to adolescence. Our Year 2 units involve anatomy and physiology. So again, if you're studying sports studies, then the anatomy and physiology units, there is a lot of similarities. So we do look at different body systems and what they mean, what they entail. We look at different physiological conditions that affect the different body systems. We look at diagnosis and how this impacts individual lives. Our Unit 6 focuses on person-centred care. Again, this is another exam unit where we look at treating people as individuals, we look at their particular needs, and we look at about enforcing our care values such as empowerment, respect, dignity, and so on. Unit 7 involves safeguarding, and this looks again at procedures and looks at different aspects of safeguarding and who needs to be safeguarded, and the rules and regulations behind that. Again, this is another exam unit that will need to be taken. All of the exam units, there is 2 opportunities to sit every exam. So every student has the opportunity, again, to gain the best grade possible. Unit 14 looks at different physiological conditions. Again, this closely links with our Unit 4, our anatomy and physiology units. Again, we look at diagnosis, treatment, and the impact and the causes and the effects of different physiological conditions. Unit 23 looks at the sociological aspect of health and social care. So as already mentioned, there's a close link with psychology, sociology within health and social care. And our Unit 9 looks at individuals that have learning disabilities and difficulties, and it's about looking at them and supporting them so they have the best quality of life possible. Okay, so just moving on to the next slide. Okay, so post-18 pathways. So students that study health and social care here at BA can progress onto university, or they can choose an apprenticeship if they want to. Some of our students have gone on to university and have become doctors, nurses, physiotherapists, midwives, and so on. Some of our students have gone straight into different caring professions. So the choice is really up to you, whether you want to go on to do higher education. The career pathways related to health and social care would include adult nursing, social work, counselling, occupational therapy, dentistry, speech language professional. If you wish to become a police officer, or a firefighter, or a teacher, there are just so many opportunities. So this is a really stable qualification to have that will enable you to have a wide range of different careers for the future of your choice. Okay, right on the slides now, you will see an example of of an activity that could be done in class. So in class, we often give case studies where we give the basic information to students. They will then use that information. They will then elaborate using their underpinning knowledge. This is a great opportunity for them to work independently, or to work with their peers or in group work to come up with ideas. It's great for brainstorming and for stretching themselves. So this is just one example. On the next slide, we have another example of something that is used in class, where we give a range of different medical conditions, and the students will have to match the different symptoms or signs of a particular medical condition. So it's again reinforcing knowledge and understanding. And with every activity that we do, we give every student the opportunity to come up with their own ideas, and then we reinforce it with the correct answers that they should have come up with. Okay, the next slide. Okay, so it's looking at what will you need to be successful. So in order to gain a qualification and to achieve a high grade, such as a distinction, because that's what we always push you towards, you need to show commitment, you need to be punctual to every lesson, you need to meet all of your deadlines that are set throughout the year, complete your classwork and coursework on time, show an ability to work independently and also to work with others. So we do encourage teamwork. The ability to analyse information, to form your own opinions and to make judgments is really, really important too. And ultimately, we want to stretch and challenge you as much as possible, and we want to work with you so that you get the best experience possible. Okay, moving on to the next slide. I think there's one more. Okay, maybe not. Is there another slide? I think there is. That's all from me. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask, and I will respond as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you so very much there, Miss Pritchard. Just a couple of questions, one for yourself, Mrs. Zimmerkai, and one for yourself, Miss Pritchard. How many lessons do you have a week there, Mrs. Zimmerkai?
We have 4 lessons a week, and sometimes those are split between units. You might do 2 units, 1 unit, 2 lessons, and then 1 unit, another lesson. But there are other times where it will just be 4 lessons across the week for just 1 unit. But yeah, we do have 4 in total a week.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Zimmerkai. One for you there, Miss Pritchard. What would I have you needed to undertake health and social care before to undertake the CTEC?
No, not at all. We have many students that have studied health in year 10 and 11 and stay with us in sixth form. But some students actually start health and social care in year 12 and continue in year 13. So no, you do not need to do it prior to year 12.
Excuse me. Thank you very much, Miss Prochar. Well, as they say, no rest for the wicked. So in about 3 seconds' time, we'll start off breakout session number 4. So for those of you coming into the breakout session, today we're having a look at, sport and physical activity and health and social care. I've got Mrs. Azimikai here with Mrs. Pritchard to talk about their respective subjects. So without any further ado, though, Mrs. Azimikai, as they say, breakout session number 4 is the best breakout session, without a shadow of a doubt. So I'm going to hand over to you right now.
Thank you, Mr. Kay. Good evening, everyone. I'll talk to you about the CTEC Sport and Physical Activity course that we deliver here at Bexley Academy. So we deliver the Extended Certificate course, and within this course, you'll be developing the skills that you'll need to go on to be successful in further study and in your career, in sport or any aspect of your life. So we'll be looking at developing your leadership skills, your organisational skills, your ability to adapt and change things within a session to help suit your participants. We're also looking at developing your independent skills, your research skills, and also your professionalism in terms of delivering those sessions and being professional with your participants in each of your sessions that you'll be delivering for your Unit 2. Now, what we'll do now is we'll move on to the next slide. We'll look at the different units that actually make up the course. So we have 5 units that we study in the Extended Certificate, 2 of which are externally assessed, and that means that you'll be sitting an exam for both of these units. Unit 1 will be sat in the first year in January, and this is a 90-minute exam on different body systems and how exercise can have positive and negative effects on those body systems. Unit 3 is sports organisation and development. That's another externally assessed unit, which you'll study in your second year. So you'll study in the second year of your CTEC course, and it is a 60-minute exam, it's an hour exam on how sport is organised within the UK and internationally. And then we have our other 3 units, Unit 2, 19 and 20, which are internally assessed. So they are units that you'll be producing assignments for, which is the evidence that you'll be providing then to try and achieve the higher grades for each of those units. Now, in terms of entry requirements, we are looking at distinction star to merit for level 2 sport, whether it's BTEC or CNAT, whichever one you're studying, or a merit, or a 4+ in terms of GCSE PE. Now, I'd also advise biology in terms of your grade to try and achieve 4+ for biology as well, because we have a lot of anatomy and physiology within our sport course for the exam. It's an hour-and-a-half exam. And so by having that biology knowledge to begin with, that will support you a lot and help you a lot with the sport course. In terms of our complementary subjects, if you're studying health and social care, sociology, biology, like I said, and psychology, these are subjects that really go well with sport, and we have units that actually have content that interlink and overlap with those subjects. So that will support you a lot going forwards in terms of studying sport and succeeding and moving on to then progress to university if you're looking at post-18 pathways. Now, talking about post-18 pathways, there are a variety of different courses that you can study and go on to in terms of university. Sports science, I study sport and exercise science after my A-levels. You can also study sports coaching, if that's something you want to go into. You can look at teaching, sports management, or even physiotherapy. Now, you can even go into biomechanics and become a nutritionist if you wanted to, which is part of the career pathways related to sport. Now, this also involves becoming a personal trainer if you wanted to, and becoming a sports manager in terms of managing your own gym or local sports centre, or becoming a sports coach, like I said, for a certain club, whether it's football, basketball, cricket, and going on to then develop your qualification in terms of sports coaching, so you can then excel in those areas in terms of your future career. Now, moving on, we'll look at the different units in a bit more detail in terms of what they consist of. So Unit 1, like I said, is your first exam in your first year, body systems and how exercise affects those body systems. Now, this paper is an hour-and-a-half, and it is made up of 3 different sections: multiple choice section, short answer section, and then a 10-mark question right at the end. Now, that 10-mark question is trying to help you draw your knowledge of everything you learned across the content, where you'll have to try and analyse how systems interrelate with each other and link up to each other. Our Unit 3 exam is 60 minutes, and that, like I said, is in your second year. You'll see that in your second year of January. And this is looking at how sport is organised across the UK as well as internationally. So you'll look at things like the Department for Culture, Media and Sport, Department of Education, Department of Health. You'll look at the national government bodies, UK Sport, Sport England, the IOC, FIFA. So we're looking at how our organisations within the UK also are linked to our organisations internationally in terms of sports and events and how it's all organised. But you'll also be looking at increasing participation and trying to make sure that individuals who don't have opportunities to take part in sport are provided those opportunities, from young children all the way up to elderly, from different genders, different race, different backgrounds, and different disabilities as well. We're trying to increase opportunities for those individuals. Now, in terms of our internally assessed units, where you'll be producing your assignments to try and provide evidence for your criteria, you'll be looking at Unit 2, where you'll study the principles behind leadership, what makes a good leader, and then planning 6 sessions and delivering those 6 sessions to a number of participants, and being able to adapt and change your session to suit the needs of the people in front of you. So to make things easier or harder depending on how they're doing your sessions, that's how you will achieve the higher grades. For those of you who are doing that already, you're helping out at your local clubs, whether it's football, cricket, like I said, basketball, netball, gymnastics, whatever it is, if you're already doing that, then when it's at your club, we will need to have the consent forms and the logistics around it as well to make sure that's okay. But you can feel free to do that, or you can do it within school as well, whatever you're comfortable with. But if you're doing it already, then you're already setting yourself up for a distinction in this unit, which is fantastic. In terms of sport exercise psychology, we'll look at how the mind can impact your performance, and in terms of aggression, arousal, personality, and how it can make or break your performance as an elite performer and an individual who just performs on a regular basis in terms of exercise. And then we'll also finally look at Unit 20. Now, this is to do with the different sociological issues that affect sport and society, and how the media can play quite a big role within those issues. So, for example, looking at deviance, gender, looking at race, culture, looking at socio-economic backgrounds. Now, I don't know if you're aware of, over the news, over the BBC, over the half term, there were lots of sociological issues around sport that came to the forefront in terms of the media. So we're looking at how the media links in with those sociological issues and how it can be a positive and negative effect. And we'll also be looking at the different theories that affect sport. So if you're studying sociology at the minute, we'll be looking to study sociology next year, we'll be looking at the Marxist theory, functionalist theory and conflict theory, and how they also affect sport. Now, moving on to our next slide, we'll be looking at the Charlton Academy. So those of you that love football, you can participate in the Charlton Academy. We have a girls team and a boys team. And you don't have to study sport to be able to take part in Charlton Academy. It's not compulsory, although we do have a lot of our students that study sport also play for Charlton. In terms of the training, you'll have 2 training sessions a week. And you'll also have Wednesday matches. You'll be provided with a Charlton tie that you can wear proudly around the academy, and you'll also be provided with a Charlton kit that you can wear on your training days, match days, and with us in terms of our practical lessons that we have for CTEC Sport. Now, just to give you a bit of an example in terms of what we'll be studying, on the next couple of slides you'll see the things that we do in our lessons in terms of looking at the different bones and labeling the different bones and actually using the technical terms for each of the different bones, which is why I said that to have good biology background will help you a lot in CTEC Sport, because in terms of the exam, providing the terminology that they are looking for at level 3 will give you those better marks in terms of the exam. You'll be able to achieve those higher marks. So we'll look at how the skeleton's made up, how the different joints, there's different structures of the joints, and in terms of the muscular system and how that interrelates with the skeletal system, to bring about movement, as well as the cardiovascular system, respiratory and energy systems, and how they all work together to help provide energy for us to participate in sport over a long period of time, or to provide that instant power that we need in certain sports and activities. Okay, thank you very much for listening, and if you have any questions, please feel free to put them into the Slido for us, and I can answer at the end for you. Thank you.
As always, a massive, massive pleasure to hear you there, Mrs. Imakayan, speak so knowledgeably about, about the sport and working with his CTEC course. Now, without further ado, I'll hand over to Miss Pritchard, who will, speak concerning health and social care.
Hi everyone, good evening and welcome to Health and Social Care. Okay, I'm just going to run through a few slides with you. Okay, sorry, a little bit slow. Just moving to the first slide. Okay, so why do our students study health and social care here at BA? They study this subject because it enables them to gain a qualification where they can then go on to choose from lots of different careers. So working with children, working with the elderly, working with the vulnerable, like I say, becoming a specialist in a particular area will definitely be an opportunity for students to have. So studying this qualification is not only interesting, it is hard work, but it's worth it. Okay, so the next slide, we will look at the qualification that we offer here at BA. So it's a Cambridge technical qualification and it's designed to work with employers and higher education providers. So it helps all students to develop their skills, knowledge and behaviour that's needed to work in different health and social care environments. It's a 2-year course with 6 units to complete each year. There are 5 exam units and 7 coursework units. The exams are assessed through an external examination process, and the non-exam units are the coursework units. Every student has the opportunity to attempt their coursework and exams 2 times. So there's a great opportunity to gain a very good grade in everything. Okay, so moving on to the next slide. Okay, so health and social care overview. So this is a 2-year qualification. The first year, there will be 6 units, and these units will include building positive relationships. So this is looking at the strategies and the skills needed to conduct yourself in a positive manner and to build those good relationships with patients and colleagues and so on. Unit 2 is our equality and diversity and human rights unit. This is an exam unit that will be sat twice if needed to enable students to get the best grade possible. This includes legislation, law. It looks at the importance of understanding diversity and what that entails. We look at cultural needs, and we look at the human rights, legislation, and so on. Unit 3 involves our health, safety and security. So this again involves more law. We look at good practice, safe working practice, the poor practice, and how this can be dealt with effectively. Infection control is another unit that we look at, and this works with our health and safety units as well. And we look at the importance of dealing with disease and different medical conditions. Our Unit 12, again, this is closely linked with our Unit 1, which is about building positive behaviour and relationships, which enable everyone that works in health and social care to be the most professional they can be and to provide the best service possible to all patients and people in their care. Unit 13 looks at sexual health. So again, this covers different law and legislation, and it looks at different diseases, and it looks about developing self-care, protection, looks at behaviour. We also look at reproduction and early development stages from infancy right through to adolescence. Our Year 2 involves anatomy and physiology. So we look at the different body systems. So this works this is very closely linked to sports studies. So lots of students will choose to do health and social care and sports studies. So again, this just reinforces lots of learning. So anatomy and physiology, we look at the different body systems and we look at the physiological conditions that relate to different body systems and how this impacts different individuals' lives. Unit 6, we look at person-centred care, and we look at how we need to treat people as individuals. Every individual has different needs, and we look at the purpose of multidisciplinary teams and the impact they can have on improving people's quality of life. Unit 7, we look at safeguarding procedures, and the purpose behind safeguarding and who needs safeguarding. Again, this is another exam unit that will be sat. Our unit 14 looks at physiological conditions. We look at diagnosis, we look at the causes, we look at the effects, long-term and short-term. We study acute medical conditions and chronic conditions. So it's quite an in-depth unit to do. Our unit 23, we look at the sociological aspects within health and social care. So we look at structure, we look at different theories, we look at the impacts of society and how it affects people's attitudes and treatment within health and social care. And on Unit 9, we look at individuals that have different learning disabilities or difficulties, and we look at ways that we can support them and offer them the best care possible. And ultimately, we want to improve their quality of life. So, yeah, so lots of different units, all very interesting, all very different. And again, a mixture of exam and coursework units. And again, the complementary subjects that health and social care link with are psychology, sport and physical activity, sociology and biology. Okay, so just moving on. Okay, so our post 18 pathways. So students that study health and social care can go on to progress onto university, or they can choose the apprenticeship route. The choice is entirely up to them. Some of our students do go on to university and have become doctors, nurses and midwives and physiotherapists. Others have gone straight into a caring profession once they leave us. Like I say, there's the opportunities and the opportunities for the future are huge. The list is absolutely endless. So if you study health and social care and you wish to go on to study this further and do higher education, this can lead into a career such as becoming an adult nurse, specialist, a counsellor, physiotherapist, psychologist, pathologist, police officer, firefighter, teacher. There are just so many opportunities. So this is a really good, solid qualification to study for the future. Okay, so here on this slide is an example of a class activity. So quite often within our lessons, we will provide case studies for the students to look at. We give them the basic information, and then they will use their underpinning knowledge and knowledge gained in lesson to answer questions and to elaborate. So lots of brainstorming, peer work, working independently. So it's they have lots of interesting activities that stretch and challenge them at all times. The next slide is, again, it's another activity where we look at different medical conditions, and the students would have to match different signs and symptoms to a particular medical condition. They're given the opportunity to challenge themselves and to use their knowledge, and then reinforcing this, we do actually go through and give them the actual precise answers. So it's a good way of testing and demonstrating knowledge. Okay, so what will you need to be successful? So in order to gain a qualification and to gain a good grade, so we will always push every student to get the best possible grade, which is a distinction. Now, the work is graded pass, merit and distinction. So ultimately, we do want you to gain a distinction and to walk away with the absolute best. So in order to gain this, you will need to show commitment, be punctual to every lesson, meet all of your work deadlines that are set, complete your classwork and coursework on time, show an ability to use your initiative, to undertake independent research, the ability to analyse information, form your own opinions, make judgments is really, really important. And it makes the lessons so interesting. So they can be quite exciting, very interesting, and also they can be very challenging at times. So ultimately, we want everyone to stretch and challenge themselves, work to the best of their ability, and to enjoy every moment while they're studying this qualification. Okay, I think that's the last slide. So thank you for your time. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask me and I will respond to you as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miss Pritchard and Mrs. Zimikai, for that session. It's been absolutely, brilliant, very, very insightful, and hopefully it's given the students just a brief insight, essentially, into what, we'll be undertaking within the academy should they wish to come here in the next academic year. Believe it or not, I've absolutely got nothing from Slido, so just kudos to the both of you for explaining it so well. And on that note, thank you for those of you that are watching, and I'll bid you all adieu tonight. Thank you very much.